Hi there everyone, Life DIY Josie here. Welcome back to my channel. Today is Thrifty Thursday when I do a throwback of one low budget idea every Thursday. For the first DIY, I will be doing a refresh of my Decorganizer that I created back in December. I used this thankful sign that I got at Dollar Tree about 2 falls ago. And I'm not going to be showing you the full tutorial here. I'll just be linking it in the description box below. This is just a small snippet of it so that you will see what is the final outcome of that project. So that was the topper of this Decorganizer because I just added the bottom part where I used a similar size box sign that is sold at Dollar Tree as well. I just painted it in white. Again, watch the full tutorial. The link is in the description box below. It could fit items that are no more than maybe 2.5 inches high and no more than 1.5 inches thick. So today I'm just going to be replacing the design on the top. So that's the reason why I only use hot glue for the most part when I am creating things, because I figured, especially for seasonal items, I would need to store them and replace them and make them also usable any time of the year. So I just remove those 3 trees, and then what I'm gonna do here is, using this sandpaper, I am just gonna smooth out the top because there's some residue from the glue. I'm also using the same sandpaper to smooth out and also give an aged or distressed appearance on the edges. So I'm just testing out this sign. I got this at Target Dollar Spot or Target Bullseye Playground a few years back, and it was $3. Here I'm just going to show you this wooden block. You can use this as a handle if you don't want to add any decorations, so that you can just lift it up easily. So I'm just going to be using this damp paper towel, and I'm just removing any of the dust left by sanding. And using my paintbrush, I am just applying a couple of coats of chalk paint. And I will be linking in the description box below as well the link to the chalk paint. So I have this box of essential oils that I got at Amazon. This is not a sponsored video, by the way. So I figured I am just going to be using this as a storage for my essential oils. I have about 18 bottles here, and this one can actually fit, I think, over 20 or maybe even a total of 24, as long as you have those smaller size of essential oils like what I'm showing here. These essential oil bottles, I think the measurement on this one is about maybe 1.5 inches high and then about 1/2 inch thick for each bottle. So I could actually fit 2 bottles or 2 rows of bottles here. And like I said, I have a total of 18, and I could probably fit another 6 bottles there, total of 24. Then I'm just going to be hot gluing this wooden sign. They also sell a wooden sign at Dollar Tree, and it may not be the same style and not pre-painted like this. I'm not going to change the paint on this one. I actually was thinking about painting it in black, but I like the gold, and it is actually distressed, and it's still farmhouse. So I really love this concept that I can hide things, and not only because they're unsightly, but because sometimes I just don't want to see clutter. And I like the fact that this is a Decorganizer, a home decor / organizer. DIY number 2 is an upcycling DIY using this empty can. And I don't know about you, I always save these types of cans because you can use them for a lot of things. So I'm just ripping off this wrapping or label, and the only thing that I really don't particularly enjoy is removing the glue at the back and where they glue that paper or label. So in case you're wondering, this is a 52-ounce can. Using again my sandpaper, which I also purchased at Dollar Tree, I am sanding the exterior part of my can, especially where the glue was. And this is where I really focus on. And again, the entire exterior of the can I had to sand because when I paint, I just want to make sure that the paint will also adhere. And then I use a damp paper towel just to remove the dust that was created by sanding. And this is the chalk paint that I use and actually will be using for the entire project for all the DIYs that I needed to paint. And this is the Rust-Oleum chalked, and this is the linen white, and I'm going to be linking it in the description box below as part of the list of my materials so that you will be able to find it. I purchased this at Amazon. Again, not a sponsored video. I just want to let you know because a lot of people ask sometimes what I use, so I just want to share them as well. So I'm just using this brush. This is actually a brush that is perfect for applying chalk paint, and I'm just painting my can, and I'm just going to be applying 2 coats of paint because 1 coat will just be enough to probably kind of sit through or sip through, and then the 2nd coat will just give it a very nice even finish. I'm also painting the top using my artist paintbrush and just dipping it to the same color of paint and applying a couple of coats as well. Now, just a reminder, before applying the 2nd coat, you have to dry the 1st coat or else the paintbrush will drag the paint. Now, I got this free printable, which I'll be linking in the description box below as well, from thegraphicsfairy.com. She has a lot of options that are free. There are also some paid ones if you want to upgrade, but she's got a ton that are free. I have enlarged the image so that it will fit my can. Now I'm just fussy cutting using my scissors, and originally I actually wanted to use this bee, but then later on I decided against it, and you will see. So I'm just fuzzy cutting, and I'm not even doing a fuzzy cut that is perfect, that I'm cutting in each line, but I'm actually giving it a little bit of white paper showing and not really at the edges of my images, because my paint anyway that I'm using for my can is white, and it is as white as this paper that I'm using, the printer paper, and that's why I didn't really want to bother too much. Here in my channel, I try to keep my tutorials simple and easy to follow. Now, I've noticed here when I was testing it out that it's still too long, so instead of cutting my ribbons or bow, the design there, I cut 1 leaf from each side. Just fuzzy cutting it, making sure that I have a good shape and that it's not so obvious that I cut something there. Here I'm testing the bee at the center, but I have opted against it. Now, to decoupage, I'm using this matte finish Mod Podge. I also purchased this at Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to be putting this on the top. So I looked at the best side. Actually, I want to keep the rough part where the glue was to the back. Even though I painted over it, it's still showing a little bit. So the smooth part is the one that I am going to be displaying on the front, and that's where I'm attaching or decoupaging my images. So I'm just using an artist paintbrush again here to apply my Mod Podge to the back to adhere it, and then I'm also going to be applying Mod Podge on the top. So those of you who are probably new to using Mod Podge, it dries clear, and I'm just applying enough Mod Podge to cover the images. And also later on off camera, I'm also going to be applying Mod Podge to the entire can, because I want to protect this so that if ever I will use this for plants and I'm trying to water the plants, I will not damage my can. So here I just used my Word doc and I just chose this letter or script and in cursive, and then I just printed the word flowers. So instead of the bee, I decided I will just put the obvious because it's going to be a flower pot. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this as well. Now this time I'm not fussy cutting it. I'm just cutting straight on top and at the bottom, and then on each side I am cutting fishtails or dovetails, call it whatever, so that to make it look like it's a banner. And then I'm just going to be applying Mod Podge again to put it in place. So using my permanent marker, I am just going to be applying some lines, just broken lines at the top rim and at the bottom rim, just so that I could make it look like an enamel, sort of. It's kind of like distressed or old enamel. And here's the finished project. I really love how it turned out. And I'm going to be using it to put my lavender flowers. And here it is. I really love it. And you can also use Cricut or Silhouette or whatever digital cutter, use or cut your designs. And I do have a Cricut, but I know a lot of you do not have, so I'm just showing you inexpensive ways to do this as well. For the third DIY, I will be using another empty can. So I'm not just going to show you how to remove the labels. It's the same peanut can in 52-ounce size. And I have these images that I got on Google, and I am going to try my best to link it in the description box below. This is not from the Graphics Fairy. So I just printed one that shows a big wooden spoon, and then the other one is a whisk, because I'm going to be using this to put my utensils on. So after applying a couple of coats of paint again, I'm using my artist paintbrush and I'm decoupaging these two utensils on the top or on the front side of my can. I am also applying a couple of coats of paint of this matte Mod Podge just to make sure that I protect this can, because this is going to be in the kitchen where we're going to be putting our utensils, and probably it'll be closer to the stove as well. So I just want to protect it as much as possible. And then using again my marker, I am applying the same kind of lines that I created or applied to my first can to give it the appearance of kind of enamel or distressed look. And originally I was going to just keep it without any word because it's obvious I'm going to be putting my utensils there. So what I'm going to be doing is I am going to also print out a cutout from my Word program or Word doc, and then I just typed in and printed the word utensils. And then I'm just going to be adhering it as well with Mod Podge, and then protecting it on top, and then applying Mod Podge again to make sure that it's protected. And here it is with all our wooden utensils plus this whisk that I have. I place it at the center, and I really love how this one turned out. For the fourth and final DIY, I will be creating a plant stand slash probably a small side table, and I'll be using these two wooden signs that I got at Dollar Tree. They're 8 by 8 inches square, and I'm also going to be using this love sign I also got at Dollar Tree. And I love that this is solid wood, unlike the other box signs that is hollow at the back. And this is perfect, especially if you are trying to create something that would need to probably hold some weight. So first, I'm just going to be removing this cardboard on the top. I really laughed a little bit when I saw that the exact sign was already printed on the box. So I think they just want to make it a little 2D, so that's why they added that as a cardboard. But I removed it, and I also kind of wet it. It took me a little while. I was scraping it with my metal ruler, or if you have a metal scraper, you can scrape it also with knife or any sharp object. And I was just removing the goo. Also at Dollar Tree, by the way, they sell those goo guns, so you can also use that as well. But to me, I'm just using plain damp paper towel or some water that I sprayed, and then I just removed the goo. Now, I am going to be assembling this using my favorite wood glue by Gorilla, and I'm going to be linking it in the description box below as well. This is not sponsored. Again, I'm just sharing you the materials that I use and that I love to use and that have been tested. Now, the thing with wood glue, it doesn't dry as fast as hot glue. But I would urge you not to just use hot glue in this one, because this is going to be something that you may want to lift around. So you would need some wood glue. Now, I will be applying hot glue on this side here and also on this side here as well. Any side that will touch the side of the frame or my wooden frame, like so. Doing that kept it intact already, or the wood would hold together, as opposed to me just applying wood glue, because again, it will dry not as fast. It may take you a couple hours to fully dry wood glue. Overnight is the best when it comes to drying wood glue, or even E6000 if you're using E6000. So I'm just going to do the same application here. And since hot glue dries fast, I made sure that I really press hard and fast so that I will have a secure adherence or connection. So the tougher glue, once it dries up, is the wood glue to hold this piece together. And then the hot glue, just a little bit of reinforcement there for ease of assembly. I am using that as a reinforcement. So on the opposite sides of each of the wood pieces, I'm also applying some hot glue and wood glue. To be honest, I was only trying wood glue here, and you will see even when I attach the plaque or the sign. But then when I noticed that it's not really adhering and balancing, I decided to also apply hot glue where I applied my wood glue on the sides. So since it's not adhering and it's unraveling off camera, I have added hot glue to those portions that's going to touch the sides of my frame. And here it is after a couple of hours of drying, and then I'm applying my first coat of paint. And then overnight, I dried this and then applied my second coat of paint the next morning. So here I'm just painting the legs as well as the top of the frame, but I'm not going to be painting the sides of the frame because I want the black and white theme. And then I went ahead and print this one from the graphicsfairy.com website. It's another freebie. And then this time it has some words on it already in French. So if you notice in my DIY today, I am doing kind of like a French kind of theme here. And I also incorporated just the black and white for all of them. So a little bit of French style there. Now again, with this Mod Podge, my matte finish Mod Podge, I am also going to use it to adhere and attach this sign on the top, and then I will be applying another couple of coats of this Mod Podge on the top to protect it, because I might use it for potted plants. I'm thinking this will be perfect for tea, you know, my teacups, if I want to drink some tea, as well as maybe have a little bit of dessert. That's why I chose that printout, because it mentions something about that, you know, cafe, as well as pate, chocolate, and also syrup. So I figured if I'm not using it as a plant stand, I can use it as well for my tea, because I love drinking tea, or even coffee, or even chocolate or hot cocoa. And then I will have my pates, and then, you know, maybe not so much about the syrup, but more on the pates, to be honest. So again, like I said, I'm just using my paintbrush here again, applying a generous amount of my Mod Podge. And then if you can see here, I'm also pushing out some air bubbles that may have formed underneath, just to make it look a little bit smoother. I am not an expert decopodger. There are a lot of artists online here on YouTube as well, so you can watch them as well. Now I have this brayer, and I am just using it, or a roller, and I'm using it to push out more bubbles that may have formed underneath to give it a more even look. But I do love the distress look that this one has, and really I'm really in love on the finish here. So this is my tall, kind of like mini side table slash plant stand, as well as it could also be used or set up as a lantern, to be honest, without the glass. Because here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to be using this other DIY, which I'm going to be linking in the description box below, how I made this. This is just a Dollar Tree LED candle, and I have decoupage, another printout that I got online on there, to show like a winter scene, and I place it on a Dollar Tree glass vase, and then put some twine on the top to make it look more farmhouse. So that is kind of like the lantern portion at the bottom. You can put anything there, maybe a small book, or maybe another small plant. But here, the other DIY I created earlier, I'm just showing you that it can be a plant stand as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video, everyone, and I'll see you again next week for another Thrifty Thursday. Bye!